Welcome everybody to the module called the Five Senses. As most of you probably believe and think, the visual is definitely a very, very powerful part of what we're trying to do to get a home sold. But the other four senses, when they're ignored, can really, really set off a red flag for a lot of different buyers. And you're going to lose them if you don't consider them. Martin Lindstrom has this to say about our senses. Almost our entire understanding of the world is experienced through our senses. And believe it or not, there are some people think that we have more than five senses. And I'm not just talking about the sixth sense either. But the ones that we're going to be talking about, of course, are the visual, hearing, taste, feel, and sound. Now the sight part, what makes us somewhat unusual is that we have really great peripheral vision compared to most animals. So easily when somebody walks into a house, they're going to be able to pull in different types of information. And we have the opportunity to catch their attention very easily. Color is going to be something that we're going to be using. As you already know from the other modules, it definitely gets their attention. And color really helps to process and store images much more efficiently than just black and white. Again, the visual part is maybe 75% of getting the house sold. But if we don't take care of the other 25% and make sure they feel comfortable about those, we'll have some difficulty getting them back for a second showing. So let's talk a little bit about odor now. Without a doubt, if buying a home is based primarily on emotion, you're going to find out that odor, which is really seated in the limbic system, the most ancient and primitive part of the brain, the seat of emotion, it's really important that we take care of that. If the smell is not taken in as positively, a person will leave very, very quickly. A woman's sense of smell is actually even keener than a man's. And when you're trying to sell a house, and there actually is a male and female involved, you need to make sure that the female is definitely very pleased with what she sees and what she smells. The sense of smell is less acute in the morning. All right, so if your showings are going to be increasing as the day wears on, take that into account. Now, you've seen some studies like these before, that in this Las Vegas casino, they found out the amount of money gambled increased by over 45% when the site was odorized with a very pleasant aroma. One very important point here, it's in red, is that you need to make sure that whatever aroma you pick for your house, that it's easily identifiable. Don't use an aroma that is a mixture of certain things, okay? As you're going to find out, I'm going to recommend particular aromas for you, but don't try to use mixtures. You do not want them to get confused trying to figure out what that aroma is. And it's conceivable that if you veer off the path here a little bit, that you're going to come up with something that's not going to work. These are universally perceived pleasant aromas by everybody. The top two that I would advocate for you to choose are vanilla and or cinnamon. Vanilla is used in most perfumes. Cinnamon is ranked very highly because of memories, as is vanilla. And the thing about both vanilla and cinnamon, and especially cinnamon, they actually bring back the memories of things like grandma baking cookies. And both these smells are a little more yang, which increase the buyer's focus. So these are the two that I highly recommend. I myself use quite a bit of cinnamon, very subtly, in the houses that I'm trying to sell. There are plenty of other aromas. Here's what some of them actually do for you. Now, I use, again, mostly cinnamon in the houses that I work on. I want it to be more of an energized, more of a yang environment. I want them to walk through the house being able to do the best job possible when they focus. I do want to show you, for warmth and for relaxation, that they both have lavender. I like using that in another place. But you want to be consistent. Please don't change the aroma from room to room. Make it more yang when selling. Make sure it's easily identifiable. Make sure it has universal appeal. And very much so, be subtle. Now, the only time that I change the aroma is with the master suite. I want to make it more yin. I want to make it come off as being a very different environment from the rest of the house. Here's where I use something like lavender. So it makes the buyer, when they go from one part of the house into the master bedroom, have it identifiable as a place that is very different, a place to restore themselves, a place that is going to be even more special. Now, sound certainly can impact us greatly too. And our comfort level is a very important part of the whole process here. We want to make sure that when a person comes to your house, comes to your listing, that they feel very comfortable. So noise is something that we want to take away. Any irritating sound, we want to take it away as much as possible. And so giving them the sound of music, or maybe wind chimes, or a water fountain up front, can mask anything that might be going on that's irritating, especially outside. For example, if your neighbor has a dog that is always barking, we don't want them to focus on that. So it'd be much more positive that when they walk in the door, they hear a babbling fountain. They hear some very soft, subtle, positive music. Now, again, there have been a lot of studies even on music and how it impacts a customer. They remain in the store a lot longer if the music is pleasing. There are certain stores here in Southern Florida that definitely use it to their advantage. So if they stay 5 to 10 minutes of extra shopping, they feel, the study feels, that it could mean as much as an extra $50 that they spend. But if we're talking real estate, if they stay 5 to 10 minutes longer, that's even better for us. It's a much better possibility that they might actually buy a very big purchase, your home. Now, music's been used in medical procedures. It calms people. It reduces stress. It lowers blood pressure. So I want to start talking about sound and music by going over a study by a Dr. Emoto, who wrote a book about the hidden messages of water. And what he went on to do is form water crystals and see how they actually reacted to particular sounds. Now keep in mind, humans are 70 to 75% of water. Over 70% of the Earth's surface is water. So the idea, the premise here is if it affects water in this particular way, it also has an effect on us at a chemical level. So the experiment happened all over the world. He decided to test water and decided to see how water in particular locations reacted to it. But then he got to the point where he was able to see how it reacted to different types of music and even specific words. For example, when he froze some water and had it taped on the side of the water beaker, the words, "You fool," and it was said, the reaction of the water crystal was somewhat abnormal and not real beautiful. But when they used words like "thank you" and "love," the water crystals reacted in a different way. So keep in mind when you talk to your teenage daughter or your teenage son or even your neighbor, that what you say really has a reaction. When Dr. Emoto also played heavy metal music, this is what he got. Again, something not very pleasant to look at. But when he played Mozart's Symphony No. 40, he got something this pretty. And here's some more examples. When he did Bach's Air for the G-string, you got the following crystal: Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel and Beethoven's Pastoral. Again, very beautiful forming crystals. They reacted very positively. And here's a piece that had 4 different parts to it by Vivaldi. There's spring, autumn, summer, and winter. They all form beautiful forming crystals. Just different. He found out other things also changed the way water crystals reacted. For example, cell phones. So what music should you use when you're trying to sell a house? Well, make it soft, make it positive. Again, very subtle. We do not want them totally thinking about the music that's being played. I try to use very little brass, if any. I don't want any singing going on, and I certainly don't use any drums. So here are some of the pieces that I have used. I used different pieces of Mozart. I have used some Kenny G, or Guitarra, or some of the beautiful pieces by Yo-Yo Ma. Now, when we talk about the 5 senses of feel, I'm thinking about temperature here. And in this case, when a person walks into your house to look at it, they want to be refreshed considerably. It needs to be definitely more comfortable inside than outside. When I was a real estate agent in Charlotte, North Carolina, every once in a while I would get a vacant house that was listed with me, and they would maybe move out of the city. And they would turn off all of the utilities, which was a very upsetting thing because there was no way that I could make the inside refreshing. If it was the middle of the winter, I wanted it to be warm inside. So when they walked in, they felt more comfortable and they stayed longer. If it was summer, I wanted them to walk in and get refreshed by cooling down. So you can see how important it is that the temperature needs to be at a particular level. Again, a lot of studies are done about these things, and a lot of them come up to the idea that over 80%, in this case 86% of human beings, really prefer the temperatures between 68 and 72, if at all possible. If we can keep the temperatures there through their showing, don't forget the idea of the extra 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, even taste is a very important aspect. If you're having an open house and you're serving them something, or if you're just leaving out a dish of candies or something for them to snack on, it's important that you consider this one too. And again, I want to keep it more yang because the yang is more focused. So I want to use something that's more sweet instead of salty. I prefer to use peppermint candies. They really create focus considerably. So don't forget our perceptions are very selective. You've got to make this visit memorable by using all 5 senses. We need to make sure that your message gets through to that potential buyer. So we need to make sure that we hit them with all of the 5 senses.